I'm just going to start by saying that the Postmistress is a story of three women whose lives come together in 1940 because of a letter. Two of the women have jobs that revolve around delivering the news in some way or another. Iris James, who is the postmaster, she will tell you, of Franklin, Massachusetts, a small town, the outermost town at the edge of Cape Cod, who believes firmly and squarely in the sanctity of the United States Postal Service. Every letter that comes into her hand needs to go right to the recipient. There should be no stops, no accidents, and you know that there is God in heaven because of the state of her story. Everything is firmly and squarely in order. Randy Bard is the young, sort of brash journalist who goes over to the Blitz, goes over to London in order to get the story, read the story as she thinks of it, and talks her way into Edward R. Murrow's broadcasting studio at a time where there were very few women who were reporters and even fewer who were on the air. Both she and Iris, over the period of the novel, come to a point where they find they have a piece of news in the form of a letter they cannot deliver, thereby upending everything that they held dear. Emma Fitch, the third woman, is a young newlywed in the town of Franklin, and it's her letter the day before. They walked outside into the night, still kissing on the first siren's wind, distant but unmistakable to the west. He straightened, and she opened her eyes. "Sounds like it's Hammerson," he said. A second minute of silence were let up, this one much closer. "Can I walk you somewhere?" "No," she smiled. "No thanks." His smile to her was sweet and very deep, and he touched his fingers to her chin. A barrage balloon crossed swiftly overhead and tinted the top of the wall behind his head. "So long then," he said. "See you," she called after him and pushed up the wall to start in the direction of her flat. She got no farther than half a block before what sounded like a freight train roared past her, and she had enough time to flatten herself against the wall when the bomb hit with a force that knocked her into the air and then slammed her down onto the pavement. Another shriek in the air, and another, the bombs falling so nearby it felt like the air was shaking. She stayed where she was on the ground, too stunned to move or cry out. Dust rained down around her, and then someone cried out across the street, and someone else, and then it was human noise around her. A little way away, a siren sounded. "Christ," she sobbed. She tried to push herself up, but she was shaking so hard she had to lie down again. It felt like her heart would bolt from her throat. She lay there, and time crept back and handed her the last few moments, then the last hour, and the man's hands on her and his lips. She didn't even know his name, and she wondered if he was walking, where he was walking now. Someone shrieked. She pushed herself up to sitting, and then reached for her satchel, which had blown off the pavement in the street. She pulled herself all the way up onto her feet and started walking. The shrieking wouldn't stop, and for the first time in these months, she wanted to break into a flat run and had to force herself to slow down in the dark. It was so dark tonight. Where were the bombs now? She crept a little way forward along the street. "Please," her feet moved. "Please, please let me get to the end of the street. Let me cross it and get to the next street. Let me get home," she pleaded. There were 4 blocks between here and her building. She stumbled even before the sound hit, the pop of windows and the prelude to the boom of the smashed walls that would follow. Boom. The sound was so big, it rocked the pit of her stomach, and for a moment seemed to grab hold of her heart and eat for it also. Boom. The shrapnel clattered on the roofs. Directly ahead, 3 or 4 blocks off, another shell burst, and Frankie dove with the railing of the basement stairs to the building she stood next to. Then a 3rd shell burst overhead, and she pushed herself all the way down the stairs and and the door opened in her back, and she was rolled inside, and she was safe, she was told. Safe. Underground, for the first time in all months she'd been in London. She stumbled down the stairs to a sea of hands that pulled her forward. There you go, I thought, find out, there you go. Until she reached Eddie, sank down against the wall, catching her breath. And at first, that's all she could hear. People like her breathing. Slowly, her eyes adjusted to the dark, and she made out what looked like a family beside her, fast asleep in a row. A father around a mother, around the child, their blanketed form ranging away into the dark like a grand boulder sloping into the sea. Beyond them, she could hear breathing, but couldn't make out how many sleepers there were, or even the size of the shelter she landed in. She leaned her head back against the wall and closed her eyes.